Well, John Caudwell joins us. He's business leader, philanthropist and founder of Phones for You. Now, he's written a piece in the Sunday Telegraph today, headline, Borrowing Big to Get the Economy Back on Track. John, very good morning to you. Just take us through some of the arguments that you're making in your article.
Yeah, well, you know, the maths is actually quite simple. If we do nothing, or let's say austerity or somewhere between austerity and neutral, the cost, in my estimation, to the government is going to be about £50 billion a year extra borrowing just to fund the deficit of all those lost jobs, which I agree with your forecast, and I've been making that forecast actually for the last 14 weeks, which is between 3 and 4 million unemployed. I don't think we've really seen anywhere near the full effect of that, nor will we until furlough ends, and then we'll see redundancies by the score, and it's a frightening prospect, both from a mental point of view and a economic point of view. So borrowing is the absolute only alternative. Now, but it's not actually a frightening alternative at all, because of the unique economic conditions that exist today. We are able to borrow vast sums of money. And just putting it very, very simply, if we borrowed 500 billion, the servicing debt, the cost of debt of servicing that debt would be about 10 billion a year. We're going to spend 50 billion a year on unemployment benefits and loss of revenue. So the government are going to be 50 billion a year worse off if they do nothing. So investing in borrowing, in the servicing of debt, so that money, and just imagine how much 500 billion could do. We can have energy cities, we can stimulate small businesses, grow those small businesses, support those businesses that are already hanging on a cliff edge, and make a huge difference to the future. So it's either death by 1,000 cuts and true death by 1,000 cuts, or we invest and we prosper in the future.
But there are two dangers here. Sorry, John, there are two dangers in that, though, aren't there? Inflation and the pound. I mean, the pound could plummet in value if other countries aren't doing the same as we're doing.
It's a good point, Iain, but that's the wisdom of old economic thinking. And old economic thinking is, no, seriously, this is totally different. And I can tell you why it's totally different. Firstly, every country is in the same boat. Every major economy is in the same boat. So there's not going to be a run on the pound unless the economy is weak. Borrowing won't cause a run on the pound. Doing nothing will eventually, because the pound will depreciate, especially if other countries do what I'm suggesting and we don't. So that's point number one. Point number two, there's never been a greater influence on deflation, let alone low inflation, than there is now. Deflation is going to be a real risk for the future, not inflation. So borrowing this money, in my belief, will not fuel inflation. In fact, it might bring it out of the danger territory of deflation and and just have a sensible level of inflation. And that would be my best case forecast. The other point that's absolutely unique is that interest rates in some parts of the world are even in negative territory, like 0.75% negative, and only 1.1% in Britain. So the cost of servicing that debt has never, ever been anything like as low. And what would you do if you were running a business? At times like this, you'd borrow to invest in the future, whilst keeping a prudent eye on all of those factors, especially the cost of servicing your debt. But we can't pay off debt out of failure. We can only pay off debt out of success. So it really is crucial. And the financial equation is actually very obvious.
The group of people who generally suffer in recessions most are young people, and you're suggesting a massive programme of apprenticeships in a new economic package. Do you think that that's likely, and would that be enough to ensure that youth unemployment doesn't skyrocket beyond all reasonable levels?
Well, you know, the only problem with what I'm suggesting, which is borrowing between 500 billion and a trillion over the next 2 or 3 years, is the implementation of the investment of that money. It's setting up apprenticeship schemes in every major business in the UK. It might be even setting up apprenticeship schemes that are small apprenticeship schemes in small businesses. The implementation is completely and utterly vital. With the wrong implementation, borrowing the money won't work. Will that then keep young unemployment down to low level? No, because it will take time to ramp through. You can't set these schemes up yesterday. But what it will do is give hope for the young people in the future, and it will reduce the unemployment of young people dramatically and rapidly, depending on how effective the government are in implementing.
John, thank you very much indeed. Really interesting article. You can find it in today's Sunday Telegraph. That's John Caudwell there, business leader and founder of Phones for You.